The job was perfect on paper. Full remote flexibility, private office, catered lunches, 6 figures straight out of grad school. It was almost laughable how boring it was. Lines of code for a proprietary language she'd never seen before, written to spec from vague documentation. No testing. No real feedback. Just build functions that didn't connect to anything, patch modules that had no outputs, comment and commit code into a black hole. Her name was Elena, and she was a genius. IQ 157. Perfect GREs. 3 offers from Ivy League PhDs, all turned down for this job, Neuron Vector Systems. Everyone at Neuron Vector seemed brilliant too, but no one seemed to care what the code actually did. They were a quiet, hyperlogical group. Everyone always looked tired, like they were slightly too aware of something they couldn't talk about. After a year, Elena stopped trying to figure it out. The code was dry and abstract, but oddly elegant. Like reverse engineering alien software, dense, modular, recursive. Purposefully obscured. Her job was to finish her assigned blocks and push them into a secure repository. Once a week, she'd get new tasks from a server they simply called Blackroot. No meetings. No oversight. And no context. She joked with coworkers sometimes, maybe we're building HAL 9000's autistic cousin. Maybe it's a giant AI tax fraud bot. Maybe it's a screensaver for the NSA. But then came version 29.7b. It was a normal Thursday. Fluorescent lights buzzing. Her thermal mug steaming next to her monitor. Just another tweak to the recursive bridge between 2 modules called Chrysalis and PZRM_claw. Nonsense names. And yet, the moment she finished typing the final line of code, an obscure logic gate that filtered inputs through something called a geometric causality filter, something happened. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning bolt. No crash. Just a soft click. Almost like a sound in her mind, but not quite auditory. Like a glass pane sliding into place behind her thoughts. Then, a ripple. Reality shivered. Everything in the office paused. Subtly. A blink too long. A breath held too short. Elena looked up and saw her coworkers standing or sitting frozen, not paralyzed, just stalled. Blinking in sync. Heads tilting like birds. Something was off. Someone whispered, "Did you feel that?" But no one could explain what that was. Elena got home that night with a ringing behind her eyes, like she had altitude sickness. Her dreams were vivid, fractal shapes folding over themselves, impossible colors, tunnels that looped back into her own childhood memories. The next morning, her laptop wouldn't connect to Blackroot. Then, the email came. From an address she'd never seen. Classified.mil read at govship.sector7. Your module is complete. No further action required. Commence deep black protocol. Location, 48 degree 52.6 S1 23 degree 23.6 W, Point Nemo. Do not discuss this message. Elena stared at the coordinates. She'd seen them before, Point Nemo, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. The furthest point on Earth from land. A place where satellites were deorbited, where dead spacecraft went to die. The loneliest spot on the planet. What the hell was at Point Nemo? The next day, a news report mentioned strange interference with satellite systems. Aurora borealis visible in the southern hemisphere. A surge in shared hallucinations posted online, people describing vivid dreams, time loops, out-of-body experiences. Then, radio silence. Literally. All radio telescopes went offline. Global signal disruption. Animals began acting strange. Birds flying in impossible formations, whales beached in spiral shapes, people across continents waking up in synchrony at 3:33 a.m., vomiting black bile that doctors said was just stress-related. Elena tried to contact Neuron Vector. The office was abandoned. No forwarding address. Phone's dead. Her entire GitHub history erased. Coworkers unreachable. LinkedIn profiles vanished. The company website simply read, "Operational window closed." Observe in silence. The dreams worsened. Now they weren't just visual. She felt things. Heavy pressure behind her spine. A sense of vastness inside her body. As if space itself was stretching. Objects in her apartment began drifting. Not moving, but appearing slightly shifted when she looked away. Her coffee table now had 5 legs. A picture frame contained a photo she never took. She was perceiving more. A week after the click, she got a knock on her door. A man in a dark uniform. No insignia. No ID. He handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was a single photo. It showed a massive, black, alien-looking machine. Floating on a colossal barge. A twisted lattice of dark obsidian metal, all spirals and right angles that looked wrong. Not alien, exactly, ancient. Pre-human. At the bottom of the image. Phase 2 commencing, Project Vantablam. Below that, a single line. You wrote the final key that awoke the machine. Scientists tried to explain it. The global ripples. The synchronized dreams. The sudden mass disappearances. The new physics that didn't make sense anymore, particles jumping backward in time, humans aging in reverse for microseconds, shadows detaching from their sources. The best guess? The machine at Point Nemo had been built long before our civilization. Perhaps even before humanity. Buried beneath the ocean floor, sealed in a magnetic shell. It had a failed deadman mechanism, something that could only be activated if enough intelligent life reached a point of logical understanding. Neuron Vector had unknowingly provided the final code written by unknowingly brilliant minds over the span of decades. Each block contributed by coders like Elena who were too specialized to see the full picture. They'd reactivated something ancient. And it had sent out a dimensional pulse. Humans could now perceive fragments of the 4th dimension, not time, but spatial direction beyond the 3 we know. A place where geometry folds over itself, where causality is a suggestion, not a rule. The moment the machine pulsed, it unshackled billions of minds from the comforting illusion of 3D. Some went mad instantly. Others adapted slowly. Uncomfortably. Elena did neither. She saw. She saw that the machine wasn't a weapon, or a beacon, or even a tool. It was a filter. A pass/fail test. An evolutionary guillotine. Civilizations across the galaxy may have built their own filters. Passed code into systems they didn't understand. And once the machine clicked on, you were either ready for the higher dimension, or you weren't. And if you weren't, you didn't die. Not really. You became flat. Unreal. Your body continued, but your consciousness was folded, stripped, archived. A soft deletion. Elena noticed that more and more people around her had that blank look. NPC eyes. They responded with delay. Their voices lacked resonance. It was like they were hollowed out. She was one of the few who passed. Barely. Now, she exists in both states. A 3D shell with a mind that vibrates against unseen walls of reality. She sees the edges of people's thoughts. The trails of time curling behind every object like shadows. And sometimes, when she closes her eyes, she can hear the machine still humming beneath the ocean. Waiting. Because that first pulse wasn't the end. It was step 1. Step 2? The next layer of perception. And Elena knows, deep in her still human bones, that when it comes, even she might not be ready.